Statement is simply an instruction given to the computer to perform some action. There are various types of statements like empty statement, simple statement, and compound statement. Starting with the empty statement. See, an empty statement simply satisfies the syntax of the language. It does not perform any task, but many times it happens that the logic of the program does not require the existence of a statement, but the syntax of the language require the existence of a statement. In such a situation, this empty statement comes to our rescue. This is simply indicated by the keyword pass. You simply write the keyword pass and that is done. Moving on to the simple statement. A simple statement is a single executable instruction. It can be an assignment statement also, it can be a printing statement, or it can be an input statement. Here I have given example of print statement, print ABC. This is a simple statement. A compound statement, on the other hand, consists of a group of statements. So the structure of a compound statement is somewhat different. First of all, the compound statement starts with a header and that header line ends with a colon. The rest of the lines that are part of the compound statement are written slightly indented, as you can see over here. Header followed by colon and then the body, which is slightly indented. The selection statement that we will be covering in this video is a form of compound statement only. Statement flow control. Statement flow control means the order of execution of statements in a program. There are different flow controls like sequential flow, selective flow, iterative flow. Starting with the sequential flow. The sequential flow says that the instructions in the program will be executed one after the another in sequence as written in the program. For example, I have written a short program over here that is for addition of two numbers. Now, in this, the first statement is a is equal to 10. So, this will be the first statement that will be executed, followed by the next statement b is equal to 20, then c is equal to a plus b, and then print c. So the order of execution of the statement is the same as the order of writing down the statements. This is the default flow of a program. Selective flow. Selective flow, however, in this type of flow, the execution of the statements depends upon a condition. There are different set of statements given, and which statement will be executed will depend upon the condition. For example, I have explained it through a diagram. This is a condition. If the condition can either be a true or false. If the condition is true, then the statement 1 will be executed. But if the condition is false, then the statement 2 will be executed. We will be covering the selection statement of Python in this video. If statement is the selection statement of Python. Iterative flow. Iteration means repetition. So if you want to repeat a set of a statement a specified number of times or till the particular condition is true, then you will be using the iterative flow. Here see, I have written again, I have explained it through a diagram. I have given a condition. If the condition is true, these statements will be executed and again the condition will be checked. If again the condition is true, these statements will be repeated again. These repetition will continue till the condition is true. And the moment the condition will be false, we will move out of these statements, out of the loop. We'll be covering the iterative statements in the next video. Now, this is the selection statement of Python, if statement. If statement helps you to select one group from the given set of groups. The syntax of the if says if followed by condition and then colon. Why colon? Because if a statement is a compound statement. So if the condition will be true, the statement 1 and 2 will be executed. But if this condition will be false, then these statements will be ignored. They will not be executed. We will simply move out of the if statement, and that means we will be coming up to the statement 3. Statement 3 is not the part of if statement. Now, how can we judge this? This is because As I told you, if is a compound statement, and in compound statement the first line is a header and the rest of the lines are slightly indented. So these lines are slightly indented, so these are considered to be the part of if statement, but this statement 3 is not indented, so this is considered outside the if statement. In Python, we do not have the concept of curly braces. Therefore, the concept of indentation is used to specify the body of a compound statement. I'll be taking an example of if statement over here. For example, I have written a code over here. A is equal to 10. This is the value of A is 10. Now, if I have checked the value of A, if A equal to 10, the condition is true. Since the condition is true, we'll be moving on to the body inside the body of if statement. So the result will be printed as equal, and after that we'll be moving out of the if statement and the result will be done. So we'll be getting two statements output, that means equal and done. If I write the same code and I have simply changed the value of A, now A is 11, condition, now the condition becomes false. So when my condition is false, this body of the if statement is ignored and we simply move to outside the if statement, that means done. So here the output will only be done. Now another variation of if statement is if else. Now what was happening in the previous case was that if the condition was true, the statement print was executed, but if it was false, we are simply moving out of the if statement. But many a times it happens that you want one thing to happen if the condition is true and another thing to happen if the condition is false. In such a situation, if else statement is used. Now syntax is if followed by condition and then colon, and the statement that are to be executed if the condition is true is written slightly indented. Then we write else. Else is also a keyword. Else followed by colon. And then the rest of the statement which are to be executed when the condition is false will be written again slightly indented. If and else are written at the same indentation level. And a statement 3 over here is again considered outside if else block. Let's take an example. The same example I am writing, but I am introduce the else keyword over here. A is equal to 10. Since the condition is true, so this part will be executed. So your output will be equal and done will be ignored. See, this is the output. In the next case, again I have changed the value of A as 11. Now this condition is false, so we have ignored this part and the line that will be executed will be print done. So your output will be done. Another variation of if statement is if elif statement. In if else, in the previous case, if else that we discussed was there were only two course of actions. But many a times it happens there are multiple course of actions. If first condition is true, one set of statements are to be executed. If second condition is true, another set of statements are to be executed. If third situation is true, then another set of statements are executed. So just now what we have considered if else statement, in that there are only two course of actions. But when we have multiple course of actions, then we will be using if elif statement. See the structure of the if elif. If this is the first condition, if this condition is true, this statement will be executed and the rest of the things will be ignored. But if this condition is false, we will move on to the next condition. The next condition will be checked. If this second condition is true, then its body will be executed. But if this condition is also false, we will move on to the next condition, that is condition 3. And if this condition 3 is true, then statement 3 will be executed. But if none of the conditions are true, then the else block will be executed. That means this statement 4 will be executed. You can write as many elif statement as required by your program, but there will be only one if statement and else statement in one particular if elif statement. Let's take an example. I have written A is equal to 2, then check the condition. A is equal to 1. Now this condition is false, so we move on to the next condition. A is equal to 2. Now this condition is true, so your output will be 2 and we will simply come out of the if statement. See, output is 2. Another situation, A is equal to 20. Now first condition is false, then second condition is false, then third condition is false. So none of the conditions are true. Therefore, we will move on to the else statement and none will be displayed. Next, nested if statement. Nesting simply means placing one thing inside another. So nested if statement means that you are placing one if statement inside another if statement. This is how it looks like. If this is the condition, condition 1. Now if this condition is true, then we are writing another if construct within this. If condition true, statement 1, then else. Now this else is the part of this if statement, else and statement 2. But if the first condition was false, then we will simply ignore this and we'll move on to the else part and execute this. Here I have written a single statement, but in the else part also you can write another if statement. Let's take an example. A and B, I have assigned two values. A is assigned value 10 and B is assigned value 20. Then I have written A is equal, if A is equal to 10. Since the first condition is true. Since the first condition is true, we'll move inside the body of if block, and there is another if block over here. If B is equal to 20. Now this condition is also true. So what will happen? We will simply print ABC. Right? So your answer is ABC. Another situation. Same code is given, but here I have changed the value of B to 2. So first condition is true, but when we move over here, second condition is false. So we'll move to the else part of this if statement. That means over here. So your output will be X1. Another situation. I have changed the value of A as 1 and B is still 20. So first condition is false, right? So we move on to the else part and we have print the output as PQR. Now let us have a demonstration of what we have studied till now. I have written a script over here in which I have demonstrated the effect of if-else statement. I have written a simple code. What I have done is I have taken an input in variable n and then I have checked the value of n. If it is divisible by 2, then I have displayed the number with the message is even, and in the second line I have displayed its square. But if the number is odd, I have simply displayed the number is odd and then I have displayed its cube. This statement program over will be executed even if the condition is true or false, because it is written outside the if statement. As you can see over here, the statements, these two print statements are indented. So these will form the part of if clause. And these statements again indented after else. So this will form the part of else statement. Now I am running the program. It is asking for a number. I have written a number as, let's suppose, 4. Now when I press enter, it is displaying 4 is even, its square is 16, and program over. Again I'll be moving on back to our program and I'll be executing it once again. Now I'll be providing it the odd value. Let's suppose I have given 3. See, 3 is odd, its cube is 27 and the program is over. Let's take another example. This is another script file. In this I have explained the effect of if-elif statement. Now what I am doing over here is I am simply calculating the simple interest, but for calculating the simple interest I am taking the value of principal amount from the user, and depending upon the value of principal amount, rate and time are initialized, right? So first of all I have taken the principal amount from the user. Then I have checked if this principal amount is less than 5,000, then the rate will be 2 and time will be 1. But if the principal amount is between 5,000 to 10,000, then the rate will be 3 and time will be 2. If the principal amount is greater than 10,000 and less than equal to 15,000, rate will be 4 and time will be 3. Otherwise, rate will be 5 and time will be 4. Now what I have done is I have displayed the values of rate and time as assigned over here. And then I have calculated simple interest and displayed it. Let's check it out. So this is my shell, and I'll be providing the value as 5200. Now 5200, in this case, the rate assigned is 3 and time is 2, and depending upon that, the simple interest is calculated. Now let's suppose once again I'll be displaying my program and again I'll be executing it. This time I'll be providing the simple interest value as 20,000. Now this value is exceeding all the conditions given over here. So rate will be 5, time will be 4 as specified in the else statement. As you can check it out. Rate will be 5 and 4 because it is greater than this condition also. This is not satisfying this condition also. So you will be moving on to the else part and then simple interest is calculated. Now this is another script. In this I have demonstrated the effect of nested if statement. What I have done over here is I have taken the value of year as input from the user, and depending upon that I have displayed whether this year is a century year or a leap year or both. Right? What is the condition for the century year is that it should be divisible by 100, and for the leap year, if the year is divisible by 100, then it should also be divisible by 400. This is the condition for a century year to be a leap year. Right? But if the year is not a century year, if it is divisible by 4, then it is considered to be a leap year. Otherwise, it is not considered to be a leap year. So what I have done, I have taken the input from the user, then I have checked if it is divisible by 4, then there are chances that it will be a leap year. Right? Now I have checked it. If it is divisible by 4, we move on to the inside the if block, and there I have specified another if condition. If it is divisible by 100, that means if it is divisible by 100, this will be a century year. But I am putting up a condition over here inside this if block. This is another condition if it is divisible by 400. So if the first condition is true, then we move inside another condition. If this is also true, we'll move inside another condition. If this is also true, that means all the 3 conditions are true, then it is considered to be a leap year as well as century year. But if suppose first 2 conditions are true, that is it is divisible by 4 and divisible by 100, but it is not divisible by 400. So in this case, we'll move here in the else part. So this will be a century year, but it will not be a leap year. If suppose the year is not divisible by 100, but it was divisible by 4. So in this case, it will be considered a leap year but not a century year. Again, if the year is not at all divisible by 4, then it will not be either a century year or a leap year. Let's demonstrate it. Let's check it out. I have written 2000. Now 2000 is a leap year as well as century year. Again, moving on to our program again. Once again I'll run it. This time the year I'll be giving is 2019. This is neither a century year nor a leap year. Once more, let's check it out with another data. I'll be giving the year as 2004. Now 2004 is a leap year, but it is not a century year. So with this, we come to the end of this video. But before closing this video, do subscribe it, because I'll be coming up with the advanced topics of Python in my upcoming videos. For the time being, bye-bye.